Hey guys, I hope you're doing very well. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to talk about The Expendables 4. Now, I'm just going to really lay it off really quickly. I've watched The Expendables when I was a kid. It's been such a long time since I last watched it. So, the best part I could say is that I can't remember shit from the previous three movies, and I think the third movie came out 9 years ago till this one. So, I can't remember a single thing about it. But after watching this movie, I'm just going to really lay it off right up immediately. Just very blunt. This movie is terrible. Really, really bad. And I really honestly think that I must have lived in an alternate dimension, or I must have had the brain of an undeveloped human, because how I would have liked the three movies before watching this movie is beyond me. Now, I'm sure maybe I can't remember anything from the three movies. I'm sure they must have been better than this in some way, but watching this movie was just so bad. Everything about this movie is just pure nonsense straight up, and I don't even know whether they attempted to really make this movie as nonsensical as it is, or if it was really as self-aware just to be a nonsense, piece of trash. Because this is literally how I describe this film. It's boring. It was so tiresome to watch, and I really left the cinema just completely happy I left, because it was just an absolutely awful film. Now, I do feel like this is probably going to sound like a rant. I mean, it's going to kind of sound into that sort of ballpark, because to be really honest with you, I mean, there's just so many things bad about this film. But there's a lot of things I really have to really criticize this movie for, and there are multiple. It's got bad acting, bad CGI, bad action set pieces, bad dialogue, and bad writing. Just all those combinations of such, you know, the epitome of all things awful. And if those are the things that makes this action movie as bad as it is, and I'm pointing those things out, you just don't have anything that you can really talk about this film or just take away from. Now, I'm going to really kind of, talk so many things, but I really think firstly I'm going to make one quick mention. I think Jason Statham is one of the biggest clowns in acting. I do not know how he has popularized himself as it is. I'm sure he's got great stunts and he has great action set pieces, but man, if when it comes to the acting side of him, I really have no idea how much I could really take him seriously. Is he really? I don't. I feel like sometimes I watch him. If he takes himself seriously, there's like a serious moment. It just dims down with his just boring, generic piece of dialogue and writing that comes out of his mouth every time. It was the same in the new Fast and Furious movie. It was the same with Meg 2, and it just felt exactly the same tiresome stuff I've seen today with Expendables 4. And I really have no idea, just, how, for me personally, looking at action, actors who can do good set pieces can take themselves as seriously as him. Because, people like Tom Cruise, Keanu Reeves, when you see their movies and you see them getting involved in some action set pieces in some of their movies, it delivers. And you take them seriously for what it is and the work they put in. But with Jason Statham, I really do not see the work and the effort in the same way. And I really think like his acting just doesn't take anything seriously. And I feel the fact that he was a producer in also in this film as well, and he took take part in that. I honestly felt his presence at every aspect of this film, and it was just so tiresome. But I think what ended up being more tiresome, not just for him, is that apparently he has a girlfriend and is played by Megan Fox, who I don't really know if she's got really the same sort of talent as well. I mean, the only thing I could recognize her for is Transformers, and that's really it. Apart from people criticizing her voicing in Mortal Kombat 1, I haven't seen it myself personally, so I can't really say much. Even watching her in this movie was also miserable too. Just a miserable girlfriend, just bitchy woman. It just turned me off immediately, honestly. I honestly think nothing in this film from its acting department really stood out. Even, good actors like Sylvester Stallone just really didn't carry this film at all with his presence. I think it's now to time he has to kind of raise the flag up and just say, look, I'm done with acting now. I think I've just gotta go put my time and energy elsewhere, because his presence in this film just was also a symbol of just he's kind of finished in the business as well. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm kind of hating on this sort of thing, but everything about this film just felt that way, and I really don't think really the actors really did a good job building up the charisma and just the anticipation or the excitement of this film. It was very much just a flatline, cringy movie. Just everything from its writing, its action set pieces, the CGI. The CGI was probably the worst thing. Just every action set piece that would sort of come out would just the camera would just spin everywhere, and there would just be so many cut scenes with new camera angles coming in, and it was just so disorientating. It was just crazy, and it was just left with just me feeling really tired and just feeling like this movie was just a real chore. Just nothing really sort of had this sort of sense of excitement or anything that happened. It was just so predictable from a sequence point of view and just a storytelling. And that's another thing I want to mention, the story. The story is just probably one of the most generic action stories ever. It's literally just, oh, we have a protagonist who wants nuclear weapons and we have to stop him. But there's also a twist to this plot as well. It is going to be a spoiler, but it doesn't matter because the film fucking sucks. But apparently now, Sylvester Stallone's character, he plays Barney, he dies in this film, and now apparently all the expendable characters want to get revenge as well. So by realizing this, they try and get revenge on the guy that also killed Barney and also going for these sort of weapons as well. Apparently, he's not dead. He's actually alive. And they don't explain anything in this film. It's just so nonsense. It really just hurts my head just how bad this is. But yeah, I think judging this, you probably think I'm being very harsh and criticizing the actors and everything for this film. It maybe seem a bit unfair to you. But the truth is, if this was an action movie and they wanted to take itself as not seriously as it is, as a form of comedy or something like that, fine. That's okay. But it doesn't. Even the way they even try and build up like some sort of comedy and some sort of cringy dialogue, it really just never lands at all. I mean, to be fair, most new Hollywood movies, when they do this, never lands at all, and that's kind of just an excuse of lazy writing. But I really honestly think that there isn't anything from from a writing, from a comedy standpoint, from any of those things that really makes this film as good as it is. Like, even watching Meg 2, I mean, that was also a bad film, but I think in some ways you can at least know it's more self-aware of being this sort of action comedy, unrealistic sort of, situation of a shark attacking people and trying to stop it. It's you kind of understand it's not trying to take itself too seriously, and you can relate to it, how bad it could be. This one does that, but it's much more boring, so much more flatline, just not really trying to build up anything, and it's just so bloody predictable. I really honestly think this just makes this one of the worst action films I've seen this year, and even maybe in my life, honestly. I really have never seen a movie more nonsensical than this, and nothing in this film really has anything redeemable about it. It's very harsh, but honestly, if you watch it for yourself, you could be the judge of it. But for me personally, this movie is just really terrible. So the only thing I could really say, at least, is kind of self-aware, just being bad, but I don't think that's really saying a lot, to be brutally honest with you. So overall, if I have to rate The Expend4bles 4, you'd probably say this is a harsh rating, but I'm going to have to give it a 1.5 out of 10. It's such an awful film. And I really don't know why anyone wants to go to cinema and watch it. Like, even for it being a 1 hour, 40-minute movie, you would basically feel like you were watching a 3-hour snooze fest. It's just such a terrible film. It makes me even question how I even got into this franchise, or maybe how anyone might have done. I'm sure that maybe I'm kind of living in an illusion, and somehow watching this movie means all the Expendables is bad. I'm sure there was probably something a little bit more redeemable about the other 3 movies in some way, but man, this was genuinely an awful film. Yeah, I've got so many things I could criticize and rant about, but to be honest with you, I really don't want to go through the chore of doing it and just lambasting this movie as much as I can. I'm sure other people will do it for you, but anyways, that's about it. See you later.